when monkeys chew tobacco and pigs spoke in rhyme. This is the story of 3 of such little pigs, and the varied fortunes that awaited them when they set off to find their way in the world. The eldest of the pigs was very lazy. He rarely helped his mother and brothers around the house, and loved nothing more than to spend all of his time wallowing in mud. Nothing pleased him more than a rainy day, when the mud was especially thick and sticky. "My son," his mother so often desperately pleaded, "you never care for bringing all of your mud into our house, and your belly is always dirty. How I wonder how you will get on when you are older. One day you'll be sorry that you didn't listen to your poor old mother." The next eldest pig didn't enjoy wallowing in mud, keeping himself clean, but he was very greedy. When it was feeding time, he would always push and shove his way to fight for the biggest and best food in the trough, not caring that his brothers and mother might starve. "Oh, my dear son," said his mother, "your greediness will lead you into trouble when you are older. You never listen to the advice of your poor old mother." The youngest pig was the cleverest of the 3. He listened well to his mother's advice and always worked hard around the house. He didn't like playing in the mud and was always the last to take his turn at the trough at meal times. The pigs lived happily together for a time, but the poor old sow was getting very weak and unable to care for her young ones. "I am very weak," she told the little pigs one day, "and soon I will be here no longer. My dear children, now you must make your way in the world. Go with my blessing and make your own homes." And so the 3 little pigs wished their mother well, promising to visit her often, and set off on their separate ways. The eldest pig thought to himself that he would not spend much time making his house. "Time is too short for building houses when there's lots of playing to be done," he reasoned. Soon he came across a man who was carrying a large bale of straw. "Hello, kind sir," began the pig. "Might I take some straw from you in order to build myself a house?" "It will be a pleasure," replied the man, and he sorted out a generous quantity of straw to give to the pig. The pig thanked the man and then set about building his house. It didn't take him long to finish, because the straw was very light and long, quickly forming walls and a roof for his tiny house. The pig was very pleased with himself, and soon set about his usual task of rolling around in the mud. Later that day, after a long and tiring time of playing outside, the little pig went back inside his house to rest. Not long after, a wolf passed by, and seeing the little straw house, thought to himself, "I wonder who lives there." The wolf knocked on the door. "May I come in?" he asked, waiting for a reply. "But I don't know who you are," answered the pig. "I am very tired after my long day." The wolf again asked if he might be allowed in, but the pig sternly replied, "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." The wolf was very angry at this, and he growled back at the pig in an instant. "Well, if you won't open the door, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down." With all his strength, the wolf huffed and puffed, and in no time at all, the poor little pig's house came tumbling down all around him. The wolf pounced on the little pig and took him home to his den. Meanwhile, the next eldest pig had set off on a different road. "I'll not waste time building my house," he mused, "when there's too little time before my dinner." A short way along the path, the little pig met a man who was carrying a large bundle of sticks. "Good morning, sir," said the pig. "Might you allow me to have some of your sticks, so that I might build myself a house that will be strong when the winds come and keep me safe from the rain?" "Why, certainly, little pig," answered the man. "Here, take what you need." The little pig was very grateful to the man, but took nearly all of the sticks that he gathered. He then quickly built his house, with the sticks taking very little time to plant into the ground. "Well, that was easy," the little pig chuckled to himself. "Now I can set about making my dinner." Soon the wolf came walking by, and noticing the little pig's new little house, wondered to himself, "Who might live in this house that I've never seen before?" The wolf knocked on the door of the house and said, "Please let me in, my dear friend." "But I don't know who you are," replied the pig. "I have nothing to offer you." The wolf knocked again and demanded, "Let me in." But the little pig was sure that this wasn't someone who he should welcome into his house. "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," said the pig. "Well, if you won't let me in," roared the wolf, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down." True to his word, the wolf did huff and puff, and the pig's tiny house of sticks quickly came tumbling down. The wolf pounced on the pig and took him home to his den. Whilst all of this was happening, the youngest pig had not gone far from his mother's house when he met a man who was selling bricks. "I must build myself a house that will be strong when the winds come and keep me safe from the cunning wolf," he thought. The little pig was clever, and he remembered his mother's advice to keep himself safe. "The bricks will make my house strong," he thought to himself, and so he politely asked the man, "Kind sir, please will you allow me to have some of your bricks so that I might build myself a house?" The man was very happy to let the pig take some of his bricks, and the pig thanked him for his kindness. It took the pig a long time to build his house. He thought about nothing else until it was finished. Finally, after a very long day, he crept into his house and bolted the door. A short while later, the wolf came wandering by. "I've never seen that house before," he thought to himself. "I wonder who might live there." And so he knocked on the door of the house and asked, "Please let me in." But the little pig realized that this might be a trick, so he wasn't quickly taken in by the wolf's cunning. "No, sir, not now, for I've had a very long day, and I'm too tired to speak with you." The wolf again knocked on the door, this time speaking much more loudly. "Let me into your house." Realizing that he was in danger, the little pig promptly replied, "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." "Well, if you won't let me in, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," screamed the wolf, just as he had done when the other two brothers had not let him in. The wolf huffed and puffed with all his might, and beat his hands against the walls of the little pig's house, but the house didn't shake an inch. Exhausted, the wolf felt very angry that he'd been foiled, and set about a plan to trick the little pig. "Little pig, may I tell you about a field that I saw earlier that's full of lovely ripe turnips?" "Oh, yes, please," answered the pig, although realizing that the wolf might be trying to trick him. "Where might we find this field?" "At Mr. Smith's farm," replied the wolf. "Perhaps we might go there together tomorrow at 6. "Oh, yes, that would be a fine idea," answered the pig, and bid the wolf good night. The pig did go to the turnip field the following morning, but he set off at 5 in order to be there long before the wolf arrived. He was already home when the wolf came to call for him. "Are you ready to go and gather some fine turnips, my good friend?" asked the wolf when he came by the little pig's house at 6. "Oh, sir," cried the pig through the small letterbox that he'd cut into his door, "I got up early this morning and have already been to the field to collect my share." The wolf was angry that the pig would not join him, but decided upon another plan that might catch him out. "Well, perhaps you might like to join me tomorrow to gather some apples," suggested the wolf. "I know where there's a very large tree with lots of delicious apples just waiting to be picked." "Oh, that would be very wonderful," replied the pig. "Where did you find such a fine apple tree?" "It's at Merry Garden," answered the wolf. "I'll call for you tomorrow morning at 5, and we can go together." The little pig realized that the wolf was again trying to trick him, and so when the next morning came, he rose at 4 o'clock in order to be at Merry Garden first. The pig's journey took longer than he expected, and he had to scale the tree in order to pick the apples. To his great fright, whilst he was still perched on one of its branches, he saw the wolf approaching him. "I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf," said the pig, "but the sun was already rising early this morning, and I thought that I would come quickly to fetch some fresh apples." The wolf was very angry that he'd been let down by the pig again, but could not see how he could pounce on the little pig where he was, because he was safe in the trees. "Have you found many good apples?" asked the wolf. "Oh, yes, very many. Let me throw you one," replied the pig, and he threw down the biggest and juiciest of the apples that he could find. Whilst the wolf went off to fetch the apple, the little pig climbed down the tree and ran home to his house as quickly as he could, just managing to close the door before the wolf arrived behind him. Now the wolf was very angry, but he'd not yet given up trying to catch the pig. "Did I mention that there's a fair in the town tomorrow?" asked the wolf. "No, sir, I don't remember you mentioning that," said the pig. "That sounds like something I should like to visit." "Well, perhaps we can go together tomorrow afternoon. I'll call by your house at 3, offered the wolf. "Yes, I would very much like to go," replied the pig. But as before, the pig knew that he must not be tricked by the wolf, and so he left an hour earlier than the time he was due to call by. At the fair, the pig bought a butter churn, but as he was making his way home, he saw the wolf approaching him from further down the hill. The pig did not know what to do and was very scared. Trying to think of a plan to save himself, he jumped inside the churn and, rocking his body to and fro, managed to set the churn rolling down the hill. The wolf was very scared when he saw this strange object rolling towards him, and he ran for the woods, desperate to hide. Later, the wolf returned to the little pig's house to tell him the story of his frightening ordeal. "I was scared for my life," said the wolf. "Never before had I seen such a thing racing towards me." "You fool," laughed the pig. "It was me inside a butter churn that you saw. I hid in there so that you wouldn't find me." The wolf was angrier than he'd ever been before when he realized that he'd again been tricked. This time, there and then, he decided that he would catch the pig and take him home for his supper. "Well, this time you won't escape me," roared the wolf. "I'm going to climb onto your roof and drop down your chimney to eat you." The pig was very frightened at this, but being clever, he quickly made a plan to save himself from the wolf's terrible promise. He quickly made a fire underneath the chimney and placed a large cooking pot of water on top of it. When he heard the wolf making his way down the chimney, the little pig quickly removed the lid from the pot, and, in an instant, the wolf tumbled straight into the pot. Quickly, the pig placed the lid back on the pot, and soon the wolf was boiling over what was now a blazing fire. The little pig ate healthily that evening, and then slept peacefully in his bed.